Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily for December 2nd, 2024. Coming up, the Cavs strike back, the Rockets silence the Thunder, and we're going to hit our best of the weekend with our all-weekend team. And, it's another NBA Cup week, so we're going to talk some NBA Cup as S. Hardy interrupts me with the timeout. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Zena. Good morning, S. Doing his best Will Hardy impersonation there. Guys, great weekend of hoops. Sunday was amazing. Had me glued, to the TV all day long. Just so happens that we've just hit the quarter-way mark of the regular season, and we got marquee matchups on this Sunday afternoon. We got the number one team and the number two team in both conferences facing off against each other. We had the Cavs and Celtics rematch, which, the Cavs, they lose their first game last week to the Celtics. They knocked them off, ending that undefeated streak to start the season. Guys, this game was electric.
Yeah.
No Jaylen Brown, no Derek White. We thought we were going to get a dud. And thanks to Donovan Mitchell, we got one of the best fourth quarters that I think we've seen all year. 20 points from him in that comeback fourth quarter that they had. But this game, again, Cavs Celtics is must-see TV.
I need it in the playoffs. I want it as a playoff series. It's definitely one of the ones where I've already marked down on my little notebook. But yeah, this game was great. And I think through three quarters, the conversation that I was having with myself was, wow, this is the Jason Tatum game. It's coming together, and he doesn't need Jaylen Brown or Derek White. He can do it all himself. And for what it's worth, he had a really great game. I thought the manipulation in the mid-range area, the playmaking, it was looking good, especially in the fourth quarter. There was a couple of fadeaway jump shots that he had, hunting out Darius Garland. That was really good. But it was the Donovan Mitchell show in the fourth quarter. 20 points. He had that crazy crossover against Drew Holiday, the little the snatchback. That was, I think I got out my seat on that one. That was beautiful. But he just took over. And I think for what it's worth, the Cavs, the way that they kind of summoned up the energy to get that win in the fourth quarter, it was more important to them having lost to the Hawks on Friday than it was to the Celtics. And I think you noticed that in the fourth too. They just 100%. Wanted it more.
Yeah, the Hawks are just world beaters. So, just beating the Cavs twice, beat the Celtics before.
That's your Hawks right there,
Zena, that's right. Yeah, Zena, look, you know where we're at now. They're 18-3, Cavs. This is a huge win over the Celtics in a marquee game, as we just
even despite the injuries.
NBA TV even on a Sunday, in spite of the injuries. At what point do we start believing in the Cleveland Cavaliers?
I'm not even sure why you're asking me this question, because I have believed in them since the start of the season. I have told you that this team is set up to win championships. And I did not put too much credence into that loss earlier in the season when the Cavs broke their winning streak. There's been so many good things about the way the Cavs have bounced back. Yeah. Now, Darius Garland did have a task in front of him, having to be smaller and trying to guard a Jason Tatum and also score. But who made up for that lack of ability on offense? Donovan Mitchell. And also Isaac Okoro. Don't look at the stat sheet, folks. The way that he was able to influence the defensive game and get them in transition, get them going, was huge. And a lot of people like to sleep on Donovan Mitchell in this MVP conversation. I will never forget, guys. I texted it in the group. Should Donovan Mitchell be a part of MVP? Dave DuFour said the numbers don't add up. I don't know about that, folks. I don't know about that.
Wow. She just directly quoted me from the group chat.
Taking shots early. Now, that's crazy.
The way that the Cavs are built with Donovan Mitchell, he tried to dunk on Luke Cornett. 7-footer. Okay, he's got something in his chest, and I really like him a lot.
I feel like Cornett's one of those guys, though, that if you see him in the paint, you're like, you know what? I bet I can get him. I bet I can get him. It's like Bill Laimbeer back in the day. Can he jump over? Can he jump over a paperclip? And actually, Cornett can catch a lob, so maybe guys they're thinking twice. But hey, listen, I think right now, look, when you look at the East, the top two, they're just head and shoulders above everybody else, and if we swing it out to the West, it's much more the fray is much more competitive in the West. And we got the Rockets and the Thunder, which the Thunder coming into the season's everyone's favorite. But these two teams are both extremely young. Now, the Rockets are younger than the Thunder, but the Thunder are young in their own right. I have this thought in my head, Zena, when I'm watching these games between these two teams. I'm thinking, a couple of years ago, we would have been talking who has the best young core. And right now, these two teams with young core, they're battling for like the top of the West. And I mean, it's not Nikola Jokic. Clippers handed the Nuggets a loss yesterday.
But what comes with youth?
That's right.
What comes with youth? Activity, movement, length, just being dynamic. And that's what you saw in these two teams. They're the top two defenses in the West, top defenses in the league overall. And what was really cool tonight was being able to see teams being able to capitalize on defense. So Houston Rockets being able to notice Hartenstein wants to block your shot. Lou Dort wants to get a steal. So you saw them going at them and being able to capitalize on the fact that they have an aggressive defense. And in this case, between the two top defenses, the Rockets were able to capitalize better and they got the best of OKC overall.
Yeah, I mean, if you were listening to the Rockets broadcast, they would make you believe that Lou Dort wanted to hit Alperen Sengun in the face on purpose. Like, well, they were like calling the Hague ass. They were like all over him.
They thought SGA and Dylan Brooks were going to get into it. And I'm like, listen, those are the Canadian guys. That's not going to happen,
Let's talk about this game a little bit. Because look, the Rockets get a big win. This is a huge win. And they look good doing it. Fred VanVleet continues to just play outside of his mind. Sometimes he had 38 points and he hits this it's not a dagger three, but it has to have been a deflating,
huge butt.
It's a deflating three, right?
If it's a dagger three, it's the slowest thrown dagger you could possibly ever imagine.
It's a trebuchet because of the arc.
Yes.
There you go, right?
He hits his logo three. You just get big play after big play. Yeah. And that's why they brought these guys in. We're going to talk about the youth. I mean, we always talk about the youth with the Rockets, but the two guys that were instrumental in this game for the win was Fred VanVleet, 38 points, that big three. Dylan Brooks down the stretch, he gets a big tie up, wins the jump ball. So huge possession, hits the game winning, I don't know what we call this little jumper in the lane.
Yeah, a little push shot.
Yeah. And he's just in these two guys, they just over and over again for this team as they're involved in winning plays. And it's almost like they're teaching these guys, the younger guys, how to win.
Well, man, I think initially last year they taught them how to defend. Like they went from one of the worst defenses last year to a top 10 defense last year. Now they're competing for one of the best defense in the league. I think a lot of that has to do with Fred and Dylan at the point of attack just being dogs and it having a trickle down effect on the rest of the team. We've talked about Amen Thompson and Tari Eason and like the other guys who are competing. Jalen Green is also competing, in my opinion, on the defensive end. But more so, it starts with those two guys and how they set the tone on defense. By the way, the 1-5 pick and roll between Fred and Sengun is like the basis of everything they do offensively. Tonight, even despite against OKC's really, really good defensive core, they found a way to make them work, man. And that's intriguing to me to see that those two just develop that chemistry more often.
Yeah, and again, we talked about the personnel that they've got, a bunch of dogs. I want to talk about Hartenstein real quick. I mean, Zena, you're big on bigs.
Yes, I am.
Let's talk about it. Look, the thing that we thought about with OKC when they brought in Hartenstein was how much he was going to bolster, the rebounding especially. This is a very good defensive team, already a very good offensive team. We all thought, hey, now they got their rebounder. The thing is, they now have a whole different option. Offensively, and his passes. These guys are finally starting to catch up to what he's doing. And wow, some of the stuff that he's throwing out there.
He had 19 points, 13 rebounds on Sunday's game, and then also has had 10 points and 10 rebounds in each of the 5 games that he's played since he's come back. So he hasn't missed a step at all. He immediately came in and became a floor-setting big, which, if you know Nikola Jokic, if you know an Alperen Sengun, you know how big it is to be able to have someone that has the highest vision on the floor on your team be able to find you, whether it's on the weak side, whether it's skip passes, whether it's inside the paint, high-low situations. He has been phenomenal for them, not only defensively, but also as another offensive threat.
Yeah, it's like having a tall dirt bike. It allows you to see all the stuff that you're going to fall off your bike over, right? Yeah. Guys, stick around after the break. We're going to talk about our all-weekend team and hit some of our highlights from the weekend. All right, we thought it would be a fun little way to wrap up the weekend by making an all weekend team selection again. And honestly, it's just a good way to take a look at all the stuff that's happening around the league. We mentioned Jason Tatum. He had a great game on Sunday, but also put up 35 and 14 against the Bulls in the NBA Cup the other night. I mean, this guy is an MVP candidate, regardless of the jokes that we make. He's up there. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, also on our all weekend team, had 36 points and had another great game on Sunday. I mean, again, this guy,
another MVP candidate. Yeah.
Now, not an MVP candidate, but maybe like a most improved, because that award is a little bit weird. But Franz Wagner for the Orlando Magic, he made our all weekend team. And Zena, he's on this list because it's a little bit of a surprise. We talked about him coming into the year. The jumper was broken. No Paolo. And the Magic just keep winning games. They're the 3 seed right now in the East. I mean, if you had told me when Paolo got hurt that they would maintain this level of success, I would have thought, Jalen Suggs. Wow, Franz has been amazing.
Especially consistently, right? You would have imagined a dip, but they've now won 6 games in a row. And Franz Wagner has been the catalyst behind this. He's had such balanced performances. He's able to score and create consistently on the offensive end. He's had this is his 17th outing with at least 20 points this season, which is unbelievable. But on the defensive end, guess what his defensive rating is?
Oh, yeah.
103. Okay. 102.8 to be specific. So being able to defend well, keeping to under 3 fouls a game, and also creating a godsend for a coach. You want to be able to have somebody that can consistently provide. And let's not forget, his brother has been showing up ever since his little brother has been playing well. Mo Wagner has improved in every category, added 2 more points to his game with better shooting percentage. You're also seeing Jalen Suggs step up, Tristan Da Silva step up. I mean, this entire team has risen to the occasion being the hole that Paolo Banchero has left.
That would have been such an easy opportunity to mention Goga Batadze. Man, wow, Zena. Wow.
Hey,
not as big on bigs. Maybe not as big on bigs as I am, Zena.
Yeah, you're right.
Speaking of bigs, look, this guy, I mean, we're just, it's an MVP weekend. Giannis had a 40-point triple-double.
Yeah.
He and Dame had 25 and 10 assists, for like the 3rd time in a game together, which is pretty incredible to think about it. But a 40-point triple-double. He has been dragging this Bucks team on his back, and now Dame is, back and healthy, but they are looking more like a team that's in the middle of the pack, which is what we expected.
Yeah.
But if Middleton can come back and get healthy, I mean, this Bucks team, I don't know, man, they might not be as bad as we thought they were.
Yeah. So the 40-point triple-double is really interesting. Did you guys know that is the first time he's had a 40-point triple-double in his career?
I did not.
That's bizarre to me.
Low?
That was surprising because Giannis, obviously, there are 1,000,001 records that he's already broken. Not having a 40-point triple-double in his arsenal was just surprise. Anyways, that just was a very surprising stat for me. Doc Rivers also mentioned, as they are on this winning streak, he's like, we're learning how to win. We're figuring out what it takes for this specific group to pull out wins. And I think that's important for a team that got off to such a shaky start. I mean, we talked about it for like 2 weeks. What's wrong with the Bucks? Yeah. They are figuring it out. And I think that's a part of an 82-game season, right? You have these ups and downs, being able to control and set the tone and also like take care of business against bad teams, which they have done. It is a credit to Giannis. It's a credit to Dame for kind of steering the ship, even though things were getting a little rocky.
Yeah. Can I add one thing about this triple-double game?
Yeah.
Giannis talked about this in his post game after that game and said that before that game, he was supposed to warm up and play in the Miami game. He warmed up, didn't feel good, felt out of rhythm, so he sat. The very next game is when he had that triple-double. Okay.
Right.
This is a superstar. This is someone that on any given night, regardless of what happened the night before, what happened 2 games before, he is stepping in the kitchen. He is cooking you a full course meal. He is in his era. And this is huge for the Bucks to be able to capitalize on right now.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
I'll tell you right now, if you look at the mid-range numbers from him, I believe him. He is locked in. His jumper looks like it did when he first came into the league, before people started messing with it.
It's a counter, right? Like, hey, you're not letting me get to the rim. I'm going to settle into this mid-range shot anytime I want to.
It's good to see it drop. Look, we got to talk about the Suns. Devin Booker had 27 and 9. Over the weekend, the Suns, they did not look good without Durant and Beal. And
No.
I mean, and then they dropped that game to the Nets last week, which it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But they did look good at full strength against the Lakers last week. I think the Suns, their biggest issue is health. Can they make it to April, May with these guys on the court? Because we see what it looks like. They hit shots, and if this is a shot making league, and they've got 3 guys that can do it. I think that with Devin Booker, what he's bringing to the table from a two-way perspective, I just can't believe he was able to carry the load that he did. Because when they were out, everything was going through him.
Yeah,
every single thing. It looks much easier now.
It was Helio Book. Yeah, he can slide. The greatest thing about Devin Booker, especially this season, is how much he's able to slide up and down. It's kind of like a sliding scale of like the role that he can play for this team.
Yes.
And now with Kevin Durant back and guys like, Bradley Beal is still kind of warming up to get back to where he needs to be. But with KD back, it just kind of completes this team. And defensively, you saw them really, really lock up against the Warriors, right? Like they made things really, really tough. Oso Ighodaro, Ryan Dunn, their rookies are stepping in and playing really good defense. Kevin Durant is like manning the middle for them, sort of as this, backline 5 with his 7-foot frame. Then you have Booker, who's competing on the end too, and really, really locking down at the perimeter. So the team is completed now when you have a guy like Kevin Durant, and Booker is allowed to shine in his role a lot more.
Yeah. And then last but not least, because we really need to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies, honestly. Jaren Jackson Jr. Has been pretty incredible, I think, this whole season. But he had 23, 8 rebounds, a steal, a couple blocks the other night in their NBA Cup win. The Grizzlies right now are 3rd in the West. They are 5th in net rating. They have withstood numerous injuries throughout the season. I mean, their small forward rotation is a mash unit at this point. Jake LaRavia, whose option for next year they basically turned down, has been playing huge minutes for them. I mean, this is it's kind of an incredible job. And you will hear more people, Zena, complain about the job that the coaching staff's doing there, that Jaren Jackson's doing defensively, or he doesn't rebound enough. They keep winning games.
Yeah.
That's what matters. John looks great. They're winning games. Memphis is back.
What I love about Memphis's entire ethos right now is its growth. It's a growth year. John Morant, it's a growth year from mentality's perspective. All of his highlights have been on the court. That's what we like. When you talk about Jaren Jackson Jr., he's the leading scorer on this team. And he's averaging the same amount of points as he did last year, but he's doing it more efficiently. He's taking less shots. He's shooting at a higher percentage, both in the 2-point and the 3-point game. You're seeing Scottie Pippen step up from the G League, coming on to this team as a good backup point guard, setting the floor. Jake LaRavia playing well. Then you look at the rookies. Jalen Wells? Was anyone really putting him on the radar as a top rookie performer, playing 25 minutes for the Memphis Grizzlies and being a solid defender, being a solid scorer? And
starter.
Then Zach Edey, starter, exactly. And then Zach Edey, of course, when he's healthy, playing well as well. So all around, you're seeing growth in this Memphis team. They're blocking out the noise and really focusing on what they do, which is having fun, playing well together, and apparently winning games.
I'm buying stock, man. I'm buying stock.
Look, I mean, Keith Parrish, he's listening right now, and I'm eating some crow because I just didn't think they were going to look like this. Guys, stick around after the break. We're going to talk about some of my favorite things from the NBA Cup so far. Man, we are so close to the NBA Cup knockout stage, guys. How's the NBA Cup been for you guys? Been fun?
Yeah.
So much fun.
Yeah. It feels different. And it's not just the courts. It does feel more competitive. One of my favorite things about this, you guys caught Pistons Pacers?
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, yes, we have to say that, right? The Pistons were like running up the score to try to pad their
point differentials matter, folks.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
And while they were doing this, look, both teams are playing hard. They've all got their main guys, rotation guys out there. The guys are up on the bench. I mean, it gave us probably an extra 8 to 10 minutes of competitive, fun basketball, even in a blowout.
Yeah.
And the NBA is rife with blowouts in regular season. So for me, that has actually been one of my favorite things about the NBA Cup games, because on the non-NBA Cup nights, it stands out when there's a blowout. It's not as much fun. So I thought, hey, I want to just kind of take the temperature of the room. What are some of the things that have stood out for you guys that hopefully, will carry over into the normal games?
On Friday, I was just going to say on Friday, we had a full game slate. Started at 12 o'clock. We got games pretty much the entire time. I love that. That's why I love Sunday basketball, because it starts at 3:30 and we're off till 10 or whatever Eastern time. So I just need full day basketball, and the NBA Cup does that for the most part, especially once it gets closer to clutch time.
It was a good Black Friday.
Yeah.
Full day competitive basketball.
Yes.
Key word, right? Yeah. And that's what the NBA Cup brings. Speaking of competition, just like the comebacks, we talked about that Cavaliers Boston Celtics game. Like, folks, remember, Cavs were down like 20 points at that at one point in that game. So the comebacks have been great. Individual performances so far. The most fun one had to have been the Dalton Connect 9 3-pointers, to the point that we were about to go to sleep. And we had to come back and talk about it. It was so electrifying. And you keep seeing these type of performances on this big stage.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of big stage and performing, guys, we were 3-0 last week. We're kind of crushing on these NBA Cup picks. This is what was nice about the competitive basketball. I can look at it and be logical, and no one's going to just randomly miss the game, because these games just matter a little bit more. So let's get to our picks for this week, guys. I'll just be quick here. I'm taking the Bucks over the Pistons. Both teams are undefeated right now in NBA Cup.
What about our Pistons, Dave?
I know it's our Pistons all of a sudden. I do like their vibes quite a bit, but I think the Bucks are rolling. As we just talked about, they're just doing better. And a win, the Bucks can clinch East Group B. And they've got revenge on their mind, guys. They're thinking about what the Pacers did to them in the NBA Cup last year. Yep. It's personal this year. Zena, who's your pick this week?
I'm choosing the Memphis Grizzlies over the Dallas Mavericks. Grizzlies just got their very first NBA Cup win, and I think they want to go on a little streak, even if it doesn't matter. And
I bet
just
they like Vegas too.
Yeah, but kind of kill the Mavericks' chances of getting in. So you'll see.
I don't hate it. I like that. Luka just came back. That'll be a fun game.
Yeah.
I have the Magic over the Knicks. This is also Group A of the East. Magic has been playing well. They've been hooping recently. I think that matters for the NBA Cup. I think like where you're at as a team, how you're gelling is a big part of it.
Ride the hot hand in the NBA Cup.
Franz Wagner is going to go and cook. They're going to get Group A, and then also I believe get home court advantage in that knockout round. So
that's amazing. Let's hope for another 3-0 week from us.
Yes.
And that way we can pat ourselves on the back. That's going to do it for today's show, folks. Thank you guys for tuning in. For S. Baraheni and Zena Keita, I'm Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.